What's up, guys?
What's up, brothers? Welcome back to another episode of Whiskey and
Water, bitch.
Hell yeah, brother. Back at it again.
Back at it, motherfucking again, with a very interesting, crazy,
Mind-blowing.
honestly, mind-blowing episode. I haven't learned.
Buckle the fuck up.
Buckle the fuck up, brothers. We are taking you for a wild ride. A wild, dreamy ride. I just, so much that she said, I'm just like, literally, what the fuck? And I also have never met someone so knowledgeable on a specific subject.
Yes.
Wow.
And with that being said, her name is Allison. She is your sleep and dream friend or advocate. She doesn't like to call herself an expert. She's humble.
I say expert. Are you kidding me? Wow.
But she's super amazing. I actually found her via I was watching Netflix one night and I was watching that series called Explained, and
which is so good, by the way. If you haven't dabbled, very good.
Pro tip: that's a great thing to watch. And I was watching this episode about dreams and dreaming because y'all already know my issues with the dream world. And I saw
she's got a bone to pick with the dream world.
With the dream world. It's truly. And so regardless, she had this little segment where she talked about just dreams, and I found it super interesting. So I looked her up on Instagram, found her fucking Instagram, reached out, we did the damn thing.
Secured the bag.
The episode's here, brothers. We make it happen for you guys. We're out here hustling.
Always,
we're out here finding people on Netflix, reaching out to them and having them on the podcast.
We're out here putting food on the table, brothers, okay? Bringing home the bacon. No, but in all seriousness, such an interesting episode. I think you guys are going to love it. We talk all about dreaming, the different phases of dreaming. We talk about Jess's nightmares in general. We talk about sleep talking and what that's all about, and lucid dreaming and how you can get started lucid dreaming and how it's kind of this process and not something you can just snap your fingers and start tonight. But very, very interesting, and we learned a lot. So I can't wait for you guys to hear this one. Before we get into that, little squirt ketchup time.
Squirt, bitch.
Okay, what's good, Shawty? What's new?
You guys heard it last week. I have not cleaned my apartment because I'm ready to fucking move, and I'm just I'm gonna have to clean it when I leave anyway. So I'm living in filth right now.
I see that. I'm looking behind you. I'm like, okay,
it's
all
dirty
right.
in there. I am selling off my furniture pieces one by one. Someone came and picked up my beloved vintage striped couch today.
Which if you guys are OGs, that was the couch in the background for all of our in-person episodes. It was there. So
for some of them, not all of them, but we parted ways. And although I thrifted that bitch for $10, I did make a cute little buck on that. Sorry, there's a fucking fly around my head. I'm not making hand motions. I'm swatting a fucking fly out. I'm living in filth.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
I'm fine. So it's bittersweet, but we're parting ways with furniture. On to new beginnings.
Yep.
Doing the damn
some
thing.
doors gotta close. You gotta sell some things for other doors to open and buy more things. There you go.
And then other than that, I did my first modeling job yesterday. Since quarantine, I haven't shot anything, for a brand or whatever. And then second, this was my first booking with my hair short. So
big bet. I didn't even think about that.
I know, it was so cool. I wasn't even thinking about it, and I was like, damn, this is the first time I'm actually shooting. And it was really fun. I mean, it was a long ass day. It was literally a 16-hour day music video shoot. You know how those things go.
The worst.
But secured a bag, and the music video comes out this Friday. So it would have come out the past Friday. So guys, check that bitch out. J Balvin. I'm out here.
Oh, I didn't know it was J Balvin. Dude, you were all with the Spanish poppies.
The poppies love me. I don't know.
They love you.
I don't know what to say. They love this.
Okay, side note, the Spanish poppy music video that I was in, remember how it had like 60 million views on YouTube?
What are we at now, brother?
I checked yesterday. The bitch is at 102 million views on YouTube.
Guys, if you haven't seen that masterpiece, please go check it out
Please
because
don't. Please just
Olivia
don't.
is dancing like a graceful
Please,
little gazelle.
Giselle.
Gazelle, not Giselle.
Guzzle.
A little guzzle. She's just graceful little guzzle.
She's just guzzling dick.
Okay, we're on one today. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god. Anyways, yeah, don't look it up.
But who's the artist? Because I really want them to see that.
It's like Tonto. It's this artist, this duo called Jesse Joy, but Louis Fonsi is in it, and I think that's why it has so many views.
Yeah.
Regardless. Anyways, good. I'm glad the poppies love you, and I'm glad you are collecting your check.
Mm-hmm. So, and it was actually a disclaimer, like everyone that was on set got tested for COVID. I know that I told you guys last week about my experience with it. So I was like a little nervous because I haven't gotten tested again, but they tested me and my test came back negative. And it showed that I had the antibodies. So we were all safe. Everyone was wearing masks. Safe process. You love to see it.
Good to go. Rowdy. Also, side note, before we continue, gotta say, brothers, our silent listeners, y'all came out of your caves this week. You love to see it.
You love to see it.
Guys, nothing makes us happier.
Oh my God, we literally are crying in the club getting these messages.
Like, we are that crying emoji, that like tearful, welly-eyed emoji. Like, that is us every time a silent listener reaches out. And we started following people back. We started like following you guys back and lurking you and commenting on stuff. And this was such a great idea. Don't know why we didn't do it sooner.
Facts.
But if you are one of those people and you still haven't had the balls to reach out, literally, you don't have to send us a paragraph. Like, you all like send paragraphs, which like I love. I'm not gonna tell you not to. But it doesn't have to be that. Send a heart, send a hello, just show us you're there and we will follow you back and show you love and all that good stuff. But thank you guys so much for those of you who did reach out.
Yes, we love you to the moon and back.
Yes, it's like...
What's your catch up? Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh no, I was just saying just how much I love it and just how validating it is for us to like just keep this going and like, you know that we're making a difference in people's lives. Like sometimes we really got to hear that, guys, and it just means the world to us.
Yeah, I mean, we're human, and not to drag this on too much, but we've divulged into this, but like we're human and we doubt ourselves, and just getting those messages was so refreshing and so inspiring. So we're here.
You guys are like juice. Like my bar will be like down here, and I get one of those messages, and I'm like, like you guys just like juice us up. Okay, I have exciting news. After literally years, and especially the last few months of very heavy contemplation, I have finally pulled the trigger. I bought a good camera, and I am starting a YouTube channel, guys. I'm so excited about this.
Hell yeah, brother.
I'm kind of nervous, but I'm really like trying to stay positive and stay excited. I really like the last time I was this excited about a project was the podcast, which was last year. So it feels good to get some creative juices going and like, just making moves.
So refreshing to be excited about something.
And also that feeling of like fear too. I haven't felt that in a while. So I'm like kind of just welcoming that and just embracing it because it's kind of fun. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. I filmed my intro video, went really good. I'm like having a little animated intro graphic made on Fiverr.
Yay! Oh my God. That's so exciting.
I know. I'm excited. So it's going to be interesting. And it's going to be a learning curve, but yeah, I'm excited to have another platform and another creative outlet. So keep an eye out for that.
We're about to be on your fucking, in your ears, on your eyes on Instagram, in your fucking face on YouTube.
Fucking everywhere.
You guys are just going to know as if you don't already know the ins and outs of our lives, but now you get to watch it.
I know. I'm explaining in the intro video. I'm like, why I was hesitant. And I'm like, I already have told my deepest, darkest fucking secrets on my podcast. Like, why would I not like put myself out there on YouTube too? So, so that's that. Let's get into our app of the motherfucking week.
App of the week, bitch.
Okay.
Give it to them. This is actually one that Olivia and I both. Like it's a game changer. Just give it to the
Yes,
people.
honestly,
Give it to
this
the
is a
people.
pro tip. If you like fire pictures, if you take any, I mean, nowadays people's normal Instagrams look fire too. So, like, even if you're not
Yeah.
an influencer, this app will apply to you. It's called, oh, what the fuck's it called? Touch Retouch.
So I don't know if you can find it via Touch Retouch because on my phone all it says is Retouch.
Retouch.
Yeah.
I think it used to be Touch
Yeah.
Retouch. Now it's
Mhm.
just Retouch.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to
Um,
find because like you look up Retouch and like a million apps come up.
I think it
But
might be like $1.99. I think it might be money, something like
yeah.
that. But it's
But
worth the
guys, it's worth
investment.
it. It's worth it. So essentially, let's say you take, a fucking thirst trap on the beach. You're sitting
Mm-hmm.
there, titties out, ass out. You love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
However, Jack and Jill in the fucking background are ruining your photo. Listen,
Fucking
on Touch
hoes.
Retouch, you can Photoshop Jack and Jill out so easily.
On Touch Retouch, you're on a private motherfucking beach, okay?
You might as well be
Like,
in Turks and fucking Caicos.
private beach, bitch.
Those of you listening, Olivia is showing us her private beach where Jack and Jill were removed.
Yeah, so basically it just makes it super. It's like Photoshop, but just like such an easier version. You can like get rid of lines and telephone lines and poles. I mean, almost every picture. It's nice to just clean up things, but I've taken so much shit out of my pictures. It's wild. So
I could probably, with my level of skill on Touch Retouch now, I could probably build a fucking skyscraper behind me. It's crazy.
dude. I mean, I took out like I had to take a picture of the mirror from my bedroom for freaking Urban Outfitters. And remember I sent you, I was like, do you have anything that could do this? I literally zoomed into the picture and took my sweet ass time and erased the entire border on the photo so I could post it. And that shit looks fire. You would never know if I didn't just tell you.
And
So that
guys,
is,
to reiterate, this is not a fucking ad. We
I wish it
the fuck
was.
it was.
But
We're just
yeah,
out
that's
here
a little
free advertising. It
Yeah.
is what it is.
It's a trick of the trade. Now you guys know you're welcome. Okay, next up we have, what do we have?
Amazon
Amazon
must-have.
purchase. Amazon must have. Okay, let's get into it.
What was it I was doing again? What the fuck was I going to talk about?
Oh, you were doing the fridge organizers.
Oh, yes, guys. Okay. This isn't something that I have done yet. However, saw it on TikTok. Going to share the info. Plan on doing it. So I don't know about you guys, but I'll buy a bunch of fucking groceries and be like, yes, gonna eat healthy, gonna eat
Health,
gonna
wealth.
make juices out of this shit and like do all this healthy shit. This week is the week I change. It's never the week I change because I never. So I'll put the veggies in those like in the pull out drawers where you're supposed to put veggies. But dude, like I put so much shit in there that like I can't see any of it.
Nope.
And if I do not see, and my boyfriend brought this to my attention because oh my god, he went through my freezer because he was like, why can't I fit anything in your freezer? Dude, he went through, he found literally 6 bags of the same Gardein chicken nuggets.
Because you thought you didn't have any.
Because I thought I didn't have any.
Classic,
and it just turns out I keep putting them where I can't see them. So regardless, moving on, fridge organizers. I don't even know if they're fridge organizers. They're just like, plastic organizers that you put in the fridge and, you kind of like stack things up so that you can see things more clearly and therefore eat all your food. Your food's not going bad. Like
you're not wasting money.
Yeah, dude, it's really bad. So much of like, I feel so terrible every week that I'm throwing away like chicken breasts and strawberries and blueberries.
I hate that. There's nothing I hate more than wasting food. Like,
I
God.
hate it. I hate it.
You hate to see it.
So if you're like me and you're a piece of shit who lets food go to waste, even though there's starving children, then this will help you. Just look, I don't know what you're looking up here. I guess you're looking up like plastic organizers. Look up fridge organizers. I'm sure something will come up. I don't know.
All right. That wraps it up, guys. We know you're going to love this episode. Please, if you're listening, hit that subscribe button. If you're not already subscribed, guys, follow us on Instagram. Interact with us on Instagram. Post us on your story. Tag us.
Stroke our egos.
Stroke our egos. Stroke our dicks. And we will stroke yours back. Okay?
I'm going down on you guys. I will go down on you guys if you fucking.
Oh my God. Okay,
Don't tell my
with
boyfriend.
that said, let's get into the episode. We hope you
Enjoy,
guys enjoy.
guys. Love ya. We are on with Allison, our sleep and dream friend. Allison, how are you today?
I'm super great. It's so great to be here with both of you today. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Girl, thank you for coming on. We're so excited to have this conversation.
Great. Yay.
Jess has selfishly been wanting to have like a dream and sleep expert on for this like past entire year. So I know she's super stoked to have this conversation. Just to get started, I guess, go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience and tell them more about yourself and what you do.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Alison McCarthy. I'm the creator of The Sleeping Third, which is a platform on Instagram for the most part, but there's also a website component where I really advocate for sleep health and wellness, as well as encourage my audience and the rest of the world, for that matter, to have a relationship with their dreaming selves and to practice lucid dreaming techniques and things in order to sort of really grow as a person and explore the wild world of dreams, as which we all have experiences with. But my intent, of course, and my ambition is to really help people love their dreams and learn from their dreams, even their nightmares, so that you can have a more fulfilling and interesting life, actually. So that's me. That's what I do.
Incredible.
So cool. And I'm so curious as to like how you even got into this.
Yeah, like when you took the next step with dreaming.
Yeah. It's a really great question because, if you think about life, there's very few things that 100% of us do, right? That all of us do. We all sleep, right. We all eat, we all use the restroom, we all do like a small set of things that is 100% universal, and dreaming is one of them. But it's the one thing that is so mysterious to all of us still, which is crazy if you think about sort of like the longevity of humanity, if you will.
Right.
And a lot of cultures and throughout history have studied and looked at dreaming in different ways, but no one's really kind of cracked the code. If there isn't even a code, we don't even know necessarily sort of what our dreaming mind is really capable of. So I was always really interested in this sort of magical place that is dreams. Like why, what, how, where, what is this? Where do we go? Who are we, etc. And so when I was a kid, and most dreamers you'll find who are interested in lucid dreaming and are practicing it more formally, have had an experience when they were a child of spontaneous lucidity, right? They had a dream where they had that aha moment, oh my gosh, I am dreaming, as a kid. And so I also had that experience. I actually don't remember the details, honestly. A lot of people will be like, I had this dream and I knew it. I was fighting a dragon and this, that, and the other. I don't remember what it was. But I do remember what I was left with, which is this emotional excitement that is, what was that? I'm interested. And so that triggered this sort of curiosity from an early age. Throughout my life, I had always tried to keep a dream journal and just played with it really informally, as most of us do. You'll have a dream and you're like, wow, that was crazy. I have to like write a screenplay or something. You're like, oh, the most creative genius ever in that one dream. And that just kept happening to me over and over again. I was like, I want to really try. And I would say from a teenager through college, through my adult life and various fits and starts, I tried to journal my dreams. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but a lot of people that I work with have, where as soon as you start trying to write things down, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to remember. You just forget more than you ever did when you're not. And it's just like a frustrating cycle of like, wait a minute, I'm intending now, but nothing's happening and I'm angry. And so there was a time period where I kept all these little notebooks by my bed all throughout this journey from childhood to teenage years to adulthood, and just never was able to get it off the ground. And I hadn't known, honestly, that there was a practice, right? I was just like, oh, I'm just doing this, whatever. I had some books, but I was like, oh, it's just, whatever, kind of really treated it like a small thing in my life. So that was kind of the journey of just always curious, always had really interesting sort of narrative focused storytelling type of dreams. A lot of crazy nightmares and dark dreams. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I look like this, but I have dark dreams. Maybe that means that I could like have a career in horror and everyone would be surprised by it, which I was really enticed with for a while. I don't know why. It's sort of like, like happy looking person really interested in like Stephen King style
It's
horror.
a plot twist.
Yeah, exactly.
You at least expect it.
Exactly. I thought that would be a fun sort of twist on my life. I never actually did that, but who knows? I mean, I'm babbling on for a little while about that journey, but about 2.5 years ago, I would say that I really got serious about it. I don't know, something clicked. It was a lifelong thing. And I was like, I have to, something is here and I need to explore it. Yeah. I felt called to it again, for the umpteenth time. And I was like, no, let's make it real. Let's study, let's learn, let's engage with some of the prominent voices in the industry, if you even can call it an industry rather.
Right.
And really started cultivating a practice that I then developed and made my own. So that's a very long journey to describe a very long journey.
So
we love it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so cool how it was like kind of innate for you. Like it's been it's been a source of curiosity for you since childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And Jess and I something we always say on the show is like, listen to those whispers. Like sometimes throughout life you'll receive these whispers and it's like you finally just were like, okay, let me dive in and just like deep dive into this. So freaking cool.
I love that. I love this, like, listen to the whispers. Because I think anyone that works in dream and sleep, for that matter, really tries to engage with the intuitive side of themselves.
Right.
And, I think intuition is something that is so, misunderstood, rather, of like what is this innate knowing, and I do feel like sort of that whisper of the sort of internal self coming out throughout my life, and as I'm growing and learning as a person, and personal development is so huge, like it's really important for me to listen to those intuitive whispers. I love that, and that was really the impetus to start this formally several years ago. Yeah, which is awesome. I love the
so
whisper.
Cool.
So I'm curious. You mentioned that you're working with some people now. What does a day look like for you? Like, and what is the kind of like work that you do, and how do you work with people on that?
Yeah. So I like to call it a day job and a night job. So I work in marketing, generally speaking. So I do have like a regular full-time job that I'm engaged with most days. But I do think your question is really fascinating from like what does a day of a dreamer look like, regardless of what I do for a living. Because there are techniques and practices in the dreaming space that people are engaged with on a day-to-day basis in order to have a consistent sort of dream practice. Like, there are things that you need to engage yourself within a day, in the scope of a day and a night, in order to have more dreams, in order to remember more dreams, and then of course to sort of induce lucid dreaming. So lucid dreaming is the notion of you being aware that you're dreaming while you're dreaming. So that's sort of like the ultimate goal of a dreaming practice, is to have these sort of aware dreams that you can kind of influence in different ways. But I'm sure we'll talk about that a bit later. So I have a regular day job, which I do. Great. Yay. And then I have the dreaming job. Great. Yay. Which is a combination of content production, which is mostly my website, and the Instagram channel, which the intent there is to sort of, I like to call it like snackable treats into the dreaming world, because it can be very overwhelming for people to start to learn, this whole space. It feels very like basic, but actually goes in lots of different direction. And so I focus on sort of snacks on sleep wellness, as well as dream recall and techniques, as well as lucid dreaming, practices. So I do both of those things. And then I work on occasion. I work with a guy called Andrew Holacek, he has a wonderful, he's one of the giants in this space. And his book, which I have here with me, which is called Dream Yoga, is a fantastic little entryway into both Eastern traditions and Western traditions of lucid dreaming and dreaming in general. Because a lot of different cultures have different approaches to dreaming. And he really brings on the Eastern Tibetan Buddhist approach to dreaming. So I work with him a lot, and with his workshops, and with his community. I moderate his community, and I support his workshops that he does annually. Unfortunately, this year is a little bit difficult, but he does amazing week-long retreats in Arizona, which is a
Oh,
phenomenal
wow.
place to just practice
That sounds
lucid dreaming.
amazing.
Yeah, it's really, the environment is so inspiring, and you're around all these wonderful people who are meditative and really focus on mindful awareness, both daytime and nighttime. So I really love his work, and I work with him quite a bit. Similarly, I studied with this gal. Her name is Dr. Kristen Lamarka, and she studied under Stephen LaBerge. And Stephen LaBerge, if you're not familiar with him, he basically proved, along with another guy at this kind of the same time, but the two of them, so independently of one another, surprisingly, had proven that lucid dreaming was a real phenomenon in a lab environment. And they did all these tests for the eye moving, sort of rapid eye movement within a dream space, where they signaled like very specific codes with the eyes within a lab. And so he was one of the, he's almost kind of considered the father, along with other people, but he's kind of the most
So
well-known,
cool.
which was really amazing. So she studies with her, I study with him. I mean, she studies with him and I study with her. And so that really was foundational for me in terms of like the science and the deep sort of neurological aspects of the dreaming mind. So I
It
think
gives you something to kind of grasp onto almost.
exactly. Yeah. And it's really based in research, because if you think about dreaming in the dreaming space, it can get very magical and esoteric,
Whimsical.
and it also can be really neurological and science driven. And I like to sort of sit in between them both, because I think that, ideas are, there's lots left to explore. So
Yeah, and it's kind of a balance. It's a balance
Exactly.
of both, really.
Yeah, precisely. So those are the kind of things that I engage in sort of like daily on, or, often in the dream space. I mean, and then there's the day in the life of, which is like everything I'm doing day to day to sort of support those practices, which I can get into if you want.
So neat. It's so interesting, because we are, this podcast is kind of very personal development based.
Yeah.
And we like to focus a lot of content on it. But, we've never even explored the unconscious, like, part of that. Of like, it's like the
Yeah.
personal development unconscious version of us. Like, that is something we
Yeah.
haven't even considered. So
Yeah.
it's just wild. You're like, it's just something so new and unfamiliar to us. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's like, everyone dreams, but, not all of us use it as a tool. And I feel like
Right.
that's exactly what it can be. So I'd love for you to kind of go into how lucid dreaming has kind of improved your life, or
Yeah.
why it's important to have better sleep, or why we should pay more attention to, the unconscious versions of ourselves, essentially.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot in there, so I'll unpack
Of
the
course.
sleeping part first, and bring
Yeah.
me back if I go on all kinds of different directions here, because
We
I could talk
gotcha.
ad nauseum about all of this. But I'll first start with the question about sleep and why that's important,
Right.
generally speaking, because I think that regardless of a dreaming practice or a lucid dreaming practice, or however you want to characterize it, sleep is the number one thing. So I find that people that I speak with about this tend to believe that having a lucid dream practice or a dreaming practice means that they are in some way compromising the quality of their overall sleep, which is actually not true. Well, it can be true if you're out of balance and kind of overworking yourself to like, I need to have a lucid dream and going crazy.
Gotcha.
That's true. That's just kind of true of any practice. But I'll start with the sleeping aspect, which is, I come from a really strong point of view of sleeping is the number one priority you should be focused on for overall health and wellness. So that means that generally
Say that again for the listeners.
sleep is the number one thing you should be focusing on for overall health and wellness, period. And
A girl loves her sleep. Let me tell you.
Tell me more.
I love it. Yeah. The sleep is a lot of people have this preconceived notion that sleep is like the body is shut down, that's not doing anything. You're closed up shop, and you're
Like a
that's
waste
it.
of time.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, I don't need it. I don't.
Sleep
Whatever.
when you're dead.
Sleep when you're
Yeah.
dead. The worst messaging possible, especially
She's like, it's the bane of my existence.
I hate it more than anything. And we live in a culture and a society, and this is true around the world, of like, business,
Productivity.
corporate, running around, climbing the ladder, blind ambition, all the things. And it's just inundated all around. You're like, oh, I don't have enough time, so on and so forth. That message is constantly like churning in our purview, in our life, etc. And so I think the changing of the narrative on sleep being sort of precious and a gift is something that I really feel strongly about. Shifting the corporate narrative of like, you need to be working 12-hour days or 18-hour days.
Productivity over wellness.
Be productive. And it's like, you actually are more productive with less time engaged in these activities.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of research about this. I'm not going to cite any of them, but you could just like look it up for all of your audience. You could just start Googling this of like science. The sleep and productivity actually increases when you're getting more sleep, when you're shutting your brain down from from consciousness, if you will. There's a lot of stuff happening outside of that, but your body's in full-on recovery mode in sleep. Your brain is very active, and it goes through several stages. I mean, there's several stages in each sleep cycle, of which we have about 5 or 6, depending on how long you're sleeping. But it's an active recovery stage for your body to repair, for you to really commit memories and learnings to your long-term memory stage, so that you can, whatever you're practicing and learning, say you're a musician and you're playing the piano, after playing the piano and then going to sleep and getting a full, really great night's sleep commits those new notes that you're learning to memory. And there's a lot of research on this as well. So it's really a place for you to say, okay, I'm going to go, everything I did today, everything I learned, everything I put forward, everything that was me today that I want to continue to be me tomorrow really enhances itself and grows over sleep.
It's like marinating.
It's like marinating, precisely. Yeah. So you need sleep. You need to prioritize sleep. And in today's day and age, with all our devices and all our things and all the lights and all the whatevers, you have to be proactive about prioritizing sleep. And it's so hard. It's hard for me to do. And I think about this every single day. There's like one more email that I want to check, or one more Instagram post that I want to look at. And we have to train ourselves to sort of let that go earlier in the night, which means turning off every device that you could possibly have on in the house, at least 30 minutes, ideally an hour before you're going to bed, reading physical books, not your screen books, or listening to them. That's fine too. And really just separating your daytime self from your nighttime self. It's almost like after a workout, you're going to take a shower. After the day, you have to sort of cleanse the day from you as well. You wouldn't go to sleep all dirty and
love
Jimmy,
that.
but you often just get into bed right after. Maybe you've like wrote an email and then gone to sleep, and
or you write an email in bed.
Yeah, in bed. Yeah, I mean, we've all done it, but to train yourself to get better at it. And it's hard. It's really hard to put our phones down. It's really hard to shut off. But when you give that sort of like cleanse from the day, you're really setting yourself up for a really great night's sleep and getting all the stages of sleep you need. Because in a sleep cycle, as I mentioned, you go through different stages, and you need your deep sleep. You need your restorative body, deep sleep that's regenerative and really supportive of that. And you need your light sleep, and you need your REM sleep, which is your dream sleep. You need all of it in balance and in concert with sort of your whole night. So sleep, everybody who's listening, prioritize it. Give yourself the chance to get at least 8 hours if you can. I know sleep can be really challenging today. Everyone's really stressed out, for job security and just health and wellness and civil unrest and what have you. But do what you can to separate all that sort of angst that we're all feeling as a society, and separate, whether that be through reading or meditation or taking a shower. I love to take a shower or a hot bath before bed and just kind of just let it go and not look at the news or Twitter or what have you. Just kind of let it go. And it's hard to do for an hour, I promise. But every time that I dedicate the hour, my sleep is great. I feel really good in the morning. I have more dreams, all the things.
So good.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, because I think that what's really important, and the first step to kind of that, is establishing a nighttime routine. Just the same way we have a really strong morning routine to set ourselves up for success during the day. The same can be said for the nighttime. And I know that I've spoken about it a little on my podcast, but I struggle with nightmares, and I wouldn't necessarily consider them nighttime I don't know if they're night terrors or, what necessarily they can be categorized in, but I have terrifying nightmares, and I wake up, 2 to 3 times a night. I would say like probably 5 nights out of the week.
Yeah.
And the only days that I really like truly get rest, and I'm super guilty of this, and I want to get better at it, and that's why we're having this conversation too, is I have to like force myself into bed. I have to take a hot shower, put my phone away, to
Yeah.
turn the notifications off. I can't see the screen light up. I cannot hear it vibrate. I have to open up my book, maybe get some of my essential oils and maybe
Yep.
some tea, and really kind of like and I
Dedicate.
try to give myself at least an hour. And I notice that every time I do it, which, is rare, but I sleep so much better.
Yeah, that is so huge. And thank you for calling it that, which is the nighttime ritual. It's a really sacred time for you to sort of unwind and deal with the things that you want to deal with. And even, you mentioned nightmares, which is a big question I get all the time of like dealing with nightmares and the trauma associated with nightmares. If you think about dreams in general, just to go down a little bit of a hole on the nightmare thing, dreams are memories in many ways. Like you wake up with a somatic sort of body experience, an emotional experience of having lived through that experience, whether it happened here, it feels the same. It's a memory to you. You now with all the other things that happen in your day, you have this memory of I was chased by a giant toothy bear who ate me, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it feels very real and somatic in your body and emotional in your mind. I don't know about you, but I woke up crying several times because of something that happened in a dream. Like these are real physical reactions that you experience, and you experience these dreams as reality to you in those spaces. So yeah, when you're having frequent nightmares, you're waking up with this emotional, and it's in your body and it's in your shoulders and you feel it and you're like, oh, I need a day off from my night, So I think to bring that back to the ritual, I do think it's important, especially for those who do suffer from nightmares. And I want to talk about nightmares a little bit more, but just for the sake of where we're at now, a ritual can really help with that. So separating from the day, and nightmares are, anxieties and self fears manifesting in their ways, in your mind. But you can do things in your ritual. So like you said, essential oils, candles are really great to sort of like free up your senses and feel this like positive juju or energy or whatever. And set yourself up for like, okay, I'm going to dream tonight. I already know that, and maybe because for you and others that do suffer from nightmares, you might know or might think that you'll have a nightmare tonight and you might be afraid to go to sleep as that. So you should lean into that in your ritual, all the time. Right? So like, yeah. So you're like, oh, I'm nervous about going to sleep. It's not special. It's not a gift. I hate going to sleep. I get a lot of people who talk about how much they hate going to sleep. And it's like, oh, what a sad thing. Because I want to give you the best sleep of your life and the best dreams of your life. So what you can do in that ritual space in between waking and sleeping is really set the intention to have, you can say things like, I'm going to have the best dreams tonight. I'm going to have the most amazing dreams tonight. And you can really just set sort of every day an intention that you will have great dreams, and kind of let the sort of, oh, I'm afraid, come in like a meditative practice and go and say like, oh yeah, I'm afraid. I know. What am I afraid of? Okay. What does that look like? All right. I can give that loving energy and like know that I'm safe and what have you.
Right.
So you can think about, you can like intend to have safer, happier dreams within that nighttime ritual space to set yourself up for a more happier sleep. But I know this a lot. Like when you are facing nightmares that are traumatic and fearful, it's really easy for me to get here and say like, think happy thoughts. Like no one wants to hear that. Think happy thoughts when you're in the middle of a murder spree or watching one in a dream.
Right.
I get it. But I think back to just specifically on the nightmare topic, there are ways that you can deal with sort of incessant nightmares. There's a school of thought that all dreams are a gift, a lesson, something for you to take away, including the scariest, harshest, worst ones imaginable. So I think when you reframe your relationship to nightmare dreams or scary dreams or anxiety dreams, or night terrors, whatever it looks like for you. If you go into the night thinking like there's something to be learned here, you can look at nightmares from a curiosity standpoint as opposed to a fear standpoint. Like, what is happening here? What does this reflect in my daily life? What might, a murder scene that I'm watching represent that I'm carrying with me into the unconscious that I might need to resolve? And because dreams speak in metaphors and non sequiturs and who the heck knows, it's hard to understand. But what you can do is come into it with a better relationship. Like, this is something good for me, even if it's a nightmare. This is something good. What can I learn from it the next day? And what can I take with me next time I dream? Can I recognize dream signs? Can I recognize like mass murder as a dream sign that helps me get lucid? And then if I am lucid, I can go and say, I can literally like look around and be like, okay, this is a violent, horrible scene. I have gun violence dreams all the time, given, the US and where we're at with that.
Right.
When I have those, like, I'm like, okay, well, that's sort of a representation of an anxiety that I feel in my day-to-day life. And I'm ready or whatever. I'm processing those emotions, in that dream. But if I become lucid, I might literally look around and say, and ask the dream out loud, which you can do in a lucid dream. Just like ask yourself, ask the unconscious, ask the dream, why is this important to me? And sometimes it will respond. You'll hear a booming voice or someone will come over. Or you can do something like in a lucid space, this represents some part of me and I love it and I integrate this, and you can send loving thoughts. And a lot of times the nightmare figure or scene will transform into something beautiful and you don't even know it, but you've integrated whatever that emotion in your life was into yourself. And you often find that that nightmare won't happen anymore. It'll just kind of be gone.
Yeah, and I find that so interesting that you said that because so a lot of the times when I have these nightmares, I often wake up like in the middle of the night and
Yeah.
I immediately kind of like start thinking happy thoughts and push it out of my mind. Otherwise, I won't be able to get back to sleep. And
Yeah.
or when I wake up in the morning, I stop thinking about it because I'm like, I need to have a good day. I need to, I had a nightmare. I'm brushing it off, and and a lot of the time, unless it's like particularly like messed up, like it has to do with like my family or something,
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard for me to shake. But a lot of the times I'm and I guess what my question is that I guess I should be reflecting on them a little bit more in order
Yeah.
to get more out of it, and hopefully kind of because I might just not be healing from what needs to be
Yes.
healed. And
Yes.
you said like what is this representing in my day-to-day life? And I think what, and also I like what you said about having something transform once
Mm-hmm.
you ask it, because there's also been situations where I'm like in a dream and I'm trying to explain it to someone and I'm like, it might not sound scary to you, but for me, I for some reason the situation I was in was terrifying. There was no bad guy, there was no anything. It was just this overall feeling of dread.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like maybe if I was able to lucid dream and kind of ask myself what this was, I'd be able to kind of like, flip the switch and start thinking of things in like, a different light rather than, healing from those things rather than
Yeah,
looking at it so dreadfully.
switching your perspective on it. Sometimes it sounds like it's something so simple, but is so profound and so powerful. Just reframing it in your mind.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Olivia and Jess. Exactly. Like, in so many people want to run away from their nightmares, and that's our instinct. Run away from fear. Run away from things that are
Danger,
hard,
right?
scary. But in this safe zone that is a nightmare, you have every opportunity. It doesn't feel safe, but it is. To address and heal from whatever is presented to you. It's a really, like, if you think about it as being like a really cool and exciting thing to be able to, like, I don't know what this trauma or this theme, let's call it, a dinosaur, this scary dinosaur, just to be simple about it, it represents something that I'm afraid of. And maybe I don't know exactly what that is. But if a lot of dreamers talk about hugging nightmare figures. So if you are able to get lucid, and I do this often, and it's still scary to me, but like if you're able to get lucid and go up to it, go up to this mythical dinosaur who's angry and yelling at you. If you approach it with curiosity and love and light and happiness, you don't say anything. You just be like, oh, this is me. This is somehow something in me represented via a scary dinosaur. and you can hug it. You can literally hug this thing. And you're hugging yourself, you're hugging that fear, you're accepting whatever that represents, and you're healing that trauma, whatever it is. You might never learn what the dinosaur represents. Like there are so many creatures and monsters and things that I've hugged that are nasty, but I feel amazing when I wake up the next day. I integrated something. I don't know what it was. It doesn't necessarily matter even that I carry that with me forward.
Right.
You can literally, you can ask, you can think happy thoughts, you can think love and loving energy, or you can literally just like boom, hug. And that's really hard to do when you have a snarling creature at you. It takes a lot of practice. Like it still makes me nervous to this day when I get lucid and I'm facing a nightmare figure. Recently I had one with a bear who I approached and hugged it, and it was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. Like you just don't want to. And it just turned into a little goat and then just ran away. And I'm like, oh.
Okay. My question is, and this is probably not a simple answer at all, but how? Because dreams are I feel like they're so scary because they're so, what we think is that they're so out of our control.
Yeah.
So in like layman's terms, how do you hug the bear?
Yeah. Well, you can't hug the bear if you're not lucid. So you have to like do lucid techniques in order to like get better at becoming lucid in dream. So this is pretty advanced work, shadow work as it's called. So we're like work on the shadow part of yourself within the dreaming communities. But you have to be able to be lucid. So if you take non-lucid dreams, and to Jess's point, reflect on them, learn from them, write down like the recurring nightmare experiences you have. Maybe you always have a bear in your dream, and you can really train yourself every day during the day at any time that you think about a bear or whatever it is, or have a fearful
I'm like,
moment.
I wish it was as tame as a bear. Like that shit is dark. I can't even say it.
No, I know exactly what you mean, because the spectrum, I'm using the bear. I'm using a figure, the bear, as like, a catch-all for everything, but like things can be very violent.
It's like I can't hug the devil.
Yeah. They can be terrible. And they can be nothing, like you said, this like just this experience of existential dread, even though there's nothing there. So I hear you. The shape of nightmares are very different, but you can start to sort of practice, like there are things called dream signs effectively, and dream signs can be something literal or physical, like the bear. Anytime I see a bear, it's just hard to do because you don't see bears in real life, but just train yourself. Like anytime you see a bear, you'll ask yourself, is this a dream? Am I dreaming? No, okay, I'm not dreaming. Great. Or you can do reality checks, are basically little things you can do to test whether you're in a dream or not a dream, because things behave really strange. One really good example for your audience quickly is like rereading text. If you look at text in a dream, it's very unstable. It moves around. So it's a really quick way. If there's any words in a dream, look at it and look back. And if it changes, you're in a dream. That's one of many reality checks you could do. That's very, very good and oftentimes works. But anyway, so you can say, oh, am I dreaming? And ask yourself this during the day, like all day. Like that's part of the daytime practice of lucid dreaming. Like just when you think about it right now, we could do it. Oh, wait, look around. Wait, is this a dream? Not, look for text. No, not a dream. Great. And you have to like believe it. You have to like literally sort of like, could this be a dream or not? Because in the dream state, you don't think it's a dream. So something will happen in a dream state where you'll be like, oh, wait, maybe this is a dream, and then you do it. Oh my God!
Used to just asking yourself.
Yes,
that is so interesting.
Yeah, all day long. This is a very simple, easy lucid dreaming practice that you could do just during the day. Anytime that something strange happens, or something particularly beautiful, or something just like wild.
The next time something batshit crazy happens, just look at you and be like, "Is this a dream?" No, it's reality.
No, there's so much batshit crazy stuff going on right now. So
wait, hold on. Is 2020 a dream, guys?
Yeah, you're onto something here.
Yeah, see, you have so many times to check. So basically, just do it all day, and then naturally, you'll just start doing it in your dreams too, because you carry your life into your
habit. Yeah.
So the more that you do that during the day, and just like get used to like anything. I like to use the sort of like, is it off? So is it, or sort of out of, actually, that's what I like to use. So out of place, out of character, out of the ordinary, extraordinary, things like that. Just like whatever's kind of out of what it normally is supposed to all do. Like, is this a dream? And it just becomes such a like habit in your life. Like it doesn't feel like it's additive. It doesn't feel like it's work to do this. And that's like one of the very key things you can do to start like having lucid dreams pretty quickly. If you just keep doing this, you'll eventually just naturally start doing it at night. So the key, of course, to facing nightmares is yes, if they're non-lucid, reflect on them, write them down, look at the themes, see how they might reflect anxieties in your life and what you can learn from them. Look at them with curiosity and not so much fear. They didn't really happen. They're not predictive. I've had lots of dreams where people have passed and they didn't pass, like dates and things. Like, don't worry too much about sort of like the meaning necessarily, but just your relationship to it, the emotional connotation. Like if it was really bad, like where can you find parallels into your life? Now when you're lucid, okay, there's a bear here. That's crazy. Oh, is this a dream? Reread text or do whatever. Oh my God, it is a dream. Oh my God, amazing. Then you're standing there and you have now what I don't call it control, but I call it influence because, I forget who said this. I think it was Robert Wagner, who's a dream author, who said that you can't control, as a sailor, you can't control the ocean. You can control the boat, but the ocean is still going to do what it wants. So similarly, the dream as the ocean is still going to do what it wants, but you have influence to control sort of the mechanism in yourself. So the dream will still do what it wants, but you have influence and awareness of it. You can change things. It's not like a perfect, amazing Inception style canvas of which anything goes, but there is a certain level of influence that you can actually get better at and get more skillful at over time. So let's say the bear triggers you. Oh my gosh, this is a dream. Then you can literally just like this space, I can literally okay, I'm going to walk up to this bear and I'm going to hug it, or I'm going to walk up to this bear with empathy and say why are you hurting? Talk to it. Why are you mad? What's upset? And sometimes they'll say something, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they mumble. Sometimes my dream figures had this dark, scary guy with a black hat, similar to Westworld, if you guys are familiar. Just like evil dude who grabbed me and pulled me, and it was very nightmarish. And I'm like, oh my God, it was so over the top emotionally that I was like, this can't be real. This has to be a dream. And then I faced him and I was like, whoa, why are you so mad? And he literally was didn't know how to answer it and then melted, literally melted Wicked Witch of the West style. And you're like, okay, guess I dealt with that.
So cool.
Which is just so interesting.
You're just out here slaying dragons in my dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Lean into the healing aspect. Don't run away. Most people that do become lucid who aren't familiar with these healing practices will I want to wake up. But if you can face it, it's scary, but it's safe, especially when you realize you're lucid. It's a safe space. Nothing will happen to you. I have died plenty of times in dreams. You don't actually die. It's kind of oh, whoa. And you wake up and you're like, that was kind of interesting.
You have another relationship
with your dream. Sorry?
I said it's like a video game. You have another life.
You have it. And the biggest thing that I could say is that if you can recognize that the dream space is a safe space, for the most part, I would say with an asterisk, if you're having mental health issues, you should work with a therapist to deal with those. It's not necessarily a safe space for those.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I just want to call that out. It's not, if you're not well adjusted or having a really hard time, don't just dive into the sort of depths of your psyche at the moment, and focus on just general health and well-being for you. And I hope that if anyone is listening to that, they do work with a therapist and have some sort of guided healing. But this is a great aspect to that, to help folks who are dealing with trauma and stress and anxiety in a way that is really safe. And it feels in nightmare situations just to it doesn't feel like it's going to be safe, but it is. And the more you're learning and leaning into healing and learning the lessons, you'll eventually integrate whatever that is. And then you won't have that nightmare anymore. And it's profound. And you're all of the sudden, over time, you won't realize it's not like this kind of thing. It's like a meditation practice. I have been meditating since I started this process. And it's only that I look back, 2.5 years ago that I was like, oh, holy crap. I have really made strides in sort of how I relate to things and how I honor and things, and how I wouldn't have noticed that 2 months in, but I do notice it 2.5 years in. You're like, oh, there is such a profound difference. And so the same thing. a long journey. It's not sort of like a fad, which a lot of people sort of like, oh,
Mhm.
I want to have a lucid dream today, tonight. And it's like,
It's
no,
a
calm
practice.
down.
It's a
Like, you have
practice.
every day of your life to practice this. So
So
get ready.
interesting. Yeah, get ready. Oh my gosh.
I love that you compared it to meditation. I think that that's probably such a
Yeah.
good comparison to make.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're going into that into that space in yourself in a way.
Mhm. Yeah, a lot
So
of people that do
yeah.
dream practices are mindfulness meditators, and you don't have
Yeah.
to be, like this 5 hour a day transcendental meditation kind of person. You can do what I call the modern version of meditation, which is like Headspace, and maybe you're doing it for 10 minutes. Like that's value in that, and you shouldn't sort of
Yeah.
do it because you're sort of not spending hours of silent meditation. It does work in small chunks, especially for the sort of modernist. Young person who has so many responsibilities today, and even older folks as well. We live in none of us can go sort of be a Zen Buddhist at in a temple
Right.
and meditate, but and practice these because the Tibetan dream yogis, if you will, they do a lot. They're sort of Buddhists, and they spend a lot of time meditating
Mhm.
both in the day state and the dream state, and amazing. And they'll sort of are masters, and we'll go places we'll never be able to go in our minds, but we can do this too. And I think it's really important that we do try as a people, because we'll all be better for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so cool. And I feel like just like kind of to go back a little bit about what you said, just
Yeah.
expressing the importance of like how much sleep we do get, because
Yeah.
I just feel like I grew up like through high school getting 4 hours of sleep every night, and it was so normal for me, and I would like sleep during lunch and sleep in
Yeah.
school, and it would just be totally normal. And I think like especially during those years they're so formative in our brain chemistry and the way our brains are growing. And like I feel so bad for high schoolers these days who
Yeah.
don't aren't able to value and aren't able to get the amount of sleep that they really need because of these AP classes and because of the pressure to do good on their tests. And it's like those are such
Mhm.
crucial years for brain development. And I know when I was in high school, I did not get nearly as much sleep as I should. That's probably why I suck at math now. But it just I really want to like if we could express anything to our audience right now, it's like
Yeah.
sleep is important just as much as exercising is, just as much as drinking your water is. Like value it. I love this whole hour before bed thing. I've actually been sleeping with my phone outside of my bedroom since
Good.
the
Yeah.
last like month or two, and I've noticed such a difference.
All right, so just out of, pure curiosity, not selfishly at all, I have a question.
Okay for
Um,
this.
because you had mentioned like we kind of have like mini wake ups throughout the night, like whether or not like you really wake up or you kind of just transition to the next phase of your sleep cycle.
Yeah.
What is your knowledge or what do you know of people like sleep talking or sleepwalking or doing things in
Oh
their
my
sleep?
god.
Because I don't know if and it's really weird because I don't know if I do it by myself like when I'm sleeping alone because I'm not gonna
Yeah.
record
You
myself
definitely
because
you
I don't
definitely do.
I don't want to know what I do. But every time I'm with my boyfriend, he'll be and the next morning he'll be like, "You woke up and said some weird shit last night."
I
And
mean,
I'm just curious.
we've had sleepovers before where she just
Yeah.
wakes up saying some gibberish, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?" And then
Yeah.
she's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "What?"
So I'm
That's
just
so funny.
curious about like what you know about that, like
Yeah.
and why certain people do and some people don't.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great question. I don't have a lot of experience with the sleep talk, sleepwalking kind of thing. I know that it's sort of a phenomenon that happens within the dream space, or almost kind of like, our bodies become paralyzed when we're dreaming, so that we don't act out the dreams. But yeah. So basically, like there are some people who suffer from I forget the name of the condition, but it basically you don't become paralyzed, and they
I
have
have it.
gotten up and like acted out and
I
thrashed,
have.
and it's a really scary experience.
I
For
have
people doing
whatever that is. I
that.
promise, because I do. I act out a lot of things, and there's in it,
She'll
and
turn on lights and
I
then
turn
like
on
go back in
lights.
bed.
I
Yeah,
think
well, I think just to be careful because there is like it's people like have done some pretty like gone driving and done some pretty extreme things. So
Oh,
you probably
no,
don't
no,
have
no, no.
a specific condition that we're talking about, but there seems to be flavors of it, which people do. I used to sleepwalk as a child, up until I would say my late teens, where I would walk around and I would talk to my parents in complete gibberish language. I would go into their bedroom and just like have a full on conversation, and my
Yep.
mom tells me that she would just be like, okay, yeah, like let me talk, and then
my
just be like, is it
gosh.
time to go to bed? And I'd be like, yes, and then go back to sleep.
Mhm.
I have friends who also sleep talk, and it's it's part of this REM state and part of this like strange experience of different ways that the brain turns off and doesn't turn off in these spaces. I don't want to talk too much on it because I don't know the science behind it, and I don't want to butcher anything that's incorrect. But it is a phenomenon that a lot of people experience, and it's primarily safe for the most part, like sleepwalking, sleep talking. I did it. I will say the one time that I did sleepwalk was on a cruise ship when I was 13 or something, and
Oh my
that's not
goodness.
it's not a place you want to be sleepwalking.
No.
My parents were like, "What?" And I woke up like holding on to this like wall, and I was like, "What am I doing here?"
Oh my
Horrible.
goodness.
I was just like holding a wall, and I was like, "Oh, what?" It
Oh,
was
that is
inside, luckily, it was in
extreme.
cabin, but it was still like, oh gosh, Anyway, yeah. So I don't have a lot to say on that, unfortunately, but
No,
there
even that was insightful. I mean, I'm
yeah,
sure it's reassuring just to know that you're not alone.
Yeah,
no,
I mean, because like there was a little bit of time there where I thought that I was like
She was
possessed
possessed.
yeah, no,
because like what am I doing? Getting like I'll like just get up, turn on the light, look
She'll
around,
be
turn
on
it
her
back off.
phone. She
yeah,
will be doing things on her phone.
yeah. I
And
believe
this,
that.
yeah, this one time we were actually in Mexico and she couldn't go back to sleep because she was so scared that she was possessed.
That was okay. Okay, people had told us that we were staying in a haunted house. There was some weird other shit that was going on. I don't know. I've had some kind of like I wouldn't say like demonic like
Sure.
Paranormal a
experiences,
little.
but yeah, and it's probably all in my head because I do have these nightmares and I wake up and I'm like, what's wrong with me that I'm having these horrible demonic dreams? And like so I think that I just gotta heal. Just gotta go in there. I gotta face.
Gotta go
I
in.
gotta.
Yeah.
I
Gotta go
gotta.
face
I
it.
gotta go hug some people in my mind.
Hug some shit. Yeah. Well, you bring up something interesting too, which is this. I'm not sure if you're familiar with sleep paralysis, but
Mhm.
effectively, maybe you've experienced this before, and it can be really traumatic for people. But well, I mentioned before, like your body is paralyzed in the REM state, so that you're not acting out your dreams. You're not like living these things. But some people sort of carry awareness into like, they go into REM pretty quickly, and they are still aware of their surroundings and their body, even though they technically shouldn't be. The awareness should have already sort of let go, and you should be
Right.
unconscious at the moment. But people feel that, and they can't move. They can't move their body because they're already their brain, their body is ahead of their brain, and they're already in
Gotcha.
their state. So experiences of sleep paralysis it's a strange transition of feeling both dreamlike and real. And people have these experiences, and their eyes are closed, and they're for all intents and purposes asleep, but are quote aware. So there's like a lucid component to this, but it's in between. So they're overlaying experiences that often have presences or figures or spirits or darkness or like scary entities, but it feels like it's in your real bedroom, but you're still in a dream state. It's this weird hybrid transition of you're not quite asleep, you're not quite awake, your body's ahead of your brain.
That is
Your
so
brain is
wild.
overlaying these images to what you think is, your bedroom. It isn't. You're still dreaming, but it's like a
Ugh.
weird transitional phase.
That's so true, and I love that you even like kind of like mentioned like you can be in your bedroom and you think that like you're in your bedroom, but you're in your dream bedroom because like
Yeah.
a lot of the time, and I love that you said this because it brings up another thing that I've been experiencing lately is that I'll and I scared the shit out of my boyfriend the other day because I woke up and I sat up and I was kind of like I was aware in my dream of my room and there was something on the ground.
Yeah.
I thought that
Yep.
there was someone like under my
Yep.
kind of under my bed
Yeah.
and I woke up and I was like he was like what and I was like there's someone in there. I was like there's someone in here and he was like what and he immediately got up and was checking and it was a bag. It was
Yeah.
it was a bag that I had set there. And I also another thing that I kind of do to help myself during my sleep is that like I won't put something in like a foreign place to me. Like,
Yeah.
because like if I have a bag like near the door and I normally don't have anything near my door, I will kind of, it'll freak me out if it's unfamiliar to me, like in my sleep. So it's
Yeah.
like sometimes I've been waking up and like things that I thought in my dream were like a scary person turns out to be like a jacket in my closet.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
really is this interesting, like I'm half asleep, but also aware, but also like what's real, what's
So
not.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just
That
going
is
to add,
wild.
yeah, I think that's a really great point. I mean, there are like, for some reason, my bedroom has these 3 windows, right? And for some reason, one of the panes in between the windows, like it's just wall, looks darker than the other 2. And this happens every time I wake up. I'm like, there's a figure there, and
Yeah.
that's not even a dream. It's just like I almost like I know that I'm gonna see it because it's just like
Mhm.
darker than the other 2, and I'm just like I know what that is. Stop it, like chill,
Yeah.
go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're already in this confused transitional space where your brain has been busy doing something in your body, and you've been all over if you've been dreaming, and so you're bringing that sort of like whatever emotional quality. If you just have the best dream in your life, I guarantee you that you're probably not gonna see like a spider as the sort of like bag. You're just gonna be like, oh, whatever.
Right.
You're already sort of in a space of like, oh, where am I? So when you see these like
It
hallucinations,
can be
it just feels traumatic, and that is universal. Like that's not something that you should feel like you're alone in that, because you're not. And then there's the sort of like sleep, but in between sleep and dream, which is called a lot of people associate the sleep paralysis with this stage, but it's called hypnagogia, which just means like transitioning from waking to sleeping. And a lot of things happen in your mind there. It's actually a really, 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 really fast. When you fall asleep, you've probably experienced this where you're all of a sudden you realize you've been thinking about a turtle dressed in a tie, and you're like, what? Where did that come from? And it's happening really fast. It's like I need to get groceries, turtle in a tie. You're on this whole like narrative in your head where you're kind of aware of it, but not. It doesn't make any sense.
I feel so seen right now.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like this, just like that, like that.
Yeah, that's
it's like as we're
yeah.
like everything we talk about. Like I have like, oh, that happened to me the other day. Like it's so crazy.
So cool.
Wow.
That's your first stage of sleep. It's like light sleeping, but your brain is one of the most active in that space because you're just like, I don't even know how much information you're processing. There's been studies about like how fast the brainwaves are happening in here and just how much overlaid ideas. Because you could be thinking about turtle in a tie at the same time as like plants growing out of your roof, at the same time as trying to solve a problem at work, all like overlaid. You can have those 3 thoughts at the same exact time happening in real time in your brain.
It's almost incredible because imagine if we could do that while we're awake. I mean, we would be unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Yeah. So hypnagogia is really cool. It's like
it's not unstoppable. It's ADHD.
Yeah. So this stage is even more interesting, I think, from like creativity's perspective. I love dreams and creativity. Like I could write a million novels from, all the dreams I have. But there's this thing of problem solving that happens in this transient space because you're doing so much with your turtle in the tie and your plants growing out of your ceiling and problem solving at work. Like you can use this transitional period to generate ideas. In fact, Nikola Tesla did this, and so did Thomas Edison and Dali. What they did was they held something heavy in their hand, whether I think Dali or maybe it was Edison used keys. So they held like really heavy brass keys. And as they fell asleep, they dropped it. And they woke up in the middle of this like crazy frenetic time period. And whenever they were thinking about, they wrote down, it was like, oh, Dali's paintings came a lot from dreams. So they use this weird transitional period to generate creativity and ideas and thinking. And maybe the turtle in the tie and the plants come out is it the next like, Frankenstein or some crazy sort of dream story that comes out of it. So a lot of inventive thinkers use this time. I like to call it creative napping because it's basically any time that you try to fall asleep, whether it's during the day or at night or in the middle of the night, you can use this hypnagogic state to be creative outside of just lucid dreams and dreaming. So the sort of territory is really vast to sort of use and work with dreams in different ways.
That is fascinating.
That's so interesting.
Creative naps, everyone. Creative naps.
That is so cool.
Wow.
Okay, so I feel like I want to give our audience some sort of like kind of actionable, not
Sure.
actionable, but just some takeaways. Like if someone wants to be more aware of their dreams,
Yeah.
what are the first few steps other than having a good night routine other than
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. Okay, so we'll put a pin in get great sleep, but get great sleep first off. Focus there first. So lucid dreaming, being aware that you're in a dream is a skill, and it's like any other skill that takes time to learn. So you're not going to sort of like tonight go play a famous concerto or whatever.
Right.
But if you practice over time, you will. And so you have to think about lucid dreaming in the same way, in that there are things you can do during the day and the nighttime to get better at it and to give yourself the time, because it is a journey. I mentioned this earlier, but for everyone listening, this is a lifelong thing. You could do this every day of your life and get better and better. Imagine 10 years from now, you'd be incredible at lucid dreaming if you tried to do it every day. And I do want to say one thing, that it can feel like it's a disruption to your life, but I have this like philosophy of the path of least disruption, to live a life that just is integrated with these practices in it without feeling like it's taking like, oh, I have to get up, I have to do all this stuff, and you do, but it can be really sort of integrated into life. So to get started on a lucid dreaming practice, I always tell people first and foremost that they have to write down all of their dreams first. So you need to first focus on remembering them, which is difficult to do early. When I started this practice 2.5 years ago, I wasn't remembering very many a week. And now, I'm 3 to 5 a night because I've been practicing for so long. So I went from 0 to as much as I am now.
And
Go
I
ahead.
think it would be interesting to kind of, how do you go about writing the dream, like writing what you felt? Was it like colors you saw, feelings you felt, people?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, so first focus on writing down the dreams, and how you do this is, first of all, everyone goes through this in their beginning journey of thinking that, they'll wake up in the middle of the night, they'll remember parts of their dream. I was the turtle in the tie or whatever. I'm feeling lazy right now. I'll write it down in the morning. Don't do this. You will not remember it in the morning.
No
Ever.
shot.
Promise you that even the most experienced people, me, if I go and I'm lazy, which you'll go through periods of being lazy. It's just life. So don't give yourself credit for that. It's okay. It's all good. Patience, happiness, all good. Light. This is a fun practice. This is great. But yeah. So as soon as you wake up and you've gone through a sleep cycle and you want to get up or go to the bathroom or whatever, write something down. I keep this isn't it, but I keep like a little notepad just about this size next to my bed. And I'll scribble down. I'll write down the time in the corner. I'll circle it if I didn't remember anything, just so I'm recording my awakenings. But I'll write down the time. So I'll say, it's 4:00 in the morning. And then I'll just write keywords. This is called the keyword approach to writing down your dream. So it's 4:00 in the morning. I'll write down the time. And if this were the dream I were having, I would have written Jess, Olivia, podcast. And that's really it. And then I write a line, and then I'll do it again the next time I wake up, so on and so forth throughout the night.
Okay, so really simple, basic.
Really simple, basic. And then when you wake up for the day, you go back to your notepad and, maybe you had a lot, so you rip them out. Like, don't worry about being precious about the night. Like, this isn't your dream journal. This is just a tool.
Okay.
So write it down. And then I take out my little pieces of paper. See, I have some. Oh, yeah, some right here. So this is what mine looks like, just have my keywords. And if it's long, I'll have more. This is the time up here in the corner. And if I have more, I'll write a little bit longer. But in the morning, I take up my little pieces of paper, depending on how many I've had. And then I'll just read my keywords and be like, oh yeah, I do remember this. I do. Sometimes I can't read my handwriting because it's the middle of the night. You're writing in the dark. What was that? What was I trying to say? What was that? Oh, okay. And then the whole thing just comes back. If it wasn't there before, it'll come back.
Right.
You'll have to put it together, and you'll say, okay, that's what that was. yeah, okay. And then you go through all of and just make sure you can commit the whole picture of the dream to memory. And then literally I'll log them into, I have a spreadsheet because I'm very data driven. So I record the entire dream narrative in this spreadsheet with all kinds of other data, which you don't need to do. You can just write it down if you want. I don't necessarily recommend that for everybody. That's just how I roll. But then you just take your little notepad, you take your little, and when you have time, don't figure out, you don't have to do all this before you wake up. I'm a couple days behind, but I will have remembered all of the dreams that I had in the last couple days, log them into my journal, whether you write it or whether you do a digital version. I cannot be bothered to write freehand anymore. I mean, please. But some people love that, and they have their hardcover journal. So start just by doing that, and you'll be surprised at how many dreams you start to remember more and more. And I think when you're having consistently like 3 probably dreams per night, then you start to do more and more techniques to sort of gain lucidity more consistently. You'll have spontaneous lucid dreams all the time. Like that happens for people naturally, just spontaneously. But that's the difference is to sort of cultivate it and practice it so that it's consistent.
Right.
You can have it.
It's like a muscle, like anything else. When you the first time you use it, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, it feels weird, and then the more you use it, the easier it is. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the comparison to meditation was just too good because, like you said, it's one, it's you get better via practicing and just being consistent and doing it every day and showing up, and it won't always it's not always going to be easy, and even I try to meditate as much as I can, but there are days when my mind is like wandering like crazy, and I'm not able to really get myself centered, and it's about kind of like the ebb and flow and just allowing yourself to enjoy the process.
Precisely. I think that's so huge because what I do notice about sort of the number one thing that people sort of give up on a lucid dream practice is literally they give up on it. They haven't had a lucid dream. They feel down about it. They feel like they have to compare to someone else who maybe had a lucid dream in the first week. For me, it took me when I started practicing, and I think it's important to say this, I started first and foremost on just recall, like remember my dreams, which is what we were just talking about with, just writing them down. And even if you don't remember anything, like you can remember an emotion you had. I like just write the time and I feel weird, or I'm kind of sad. I have no idea why. I focus there first. People tend to really just be like, I need to lucid dream tonight. I want to have this experience. And you're like, well, you have a lifetime to do that. Like you'll get there. Just focus one, obviously the sort of long standing proverb of you need to walk before, or you need to crawl before you can walk, and you need to walk before you can run. It is so true. And I think because it's a mindfulness practice that's within us, it's really hard to sort of give yourself the kindness to take the time it takes. And some people will have a lucid dream tonight and then they'll be consistent. Some people will take months. Some people will take years. And so it's really important to know that for me,
it's everyone's own journey.
It's everyone's own journey. And for me, just because people do like to compare it, I'll just say that for me, it took 90 days for me to have consistent lucid dreams. And once I got to that, or 90 days from when I started practicing to it took me 90 days to get to a lucid dream. And when I got there, then I was having them more frequently and I was doing the practices, you're kind of going on. So, the takeaway for the audience is to start with just recall and get yourself to a place where you're feeling like you're remembering 3 dreams per night. So do that. So focus there.
Okay. Cool.
Wow.
Awesome. So I'll also just
start tonight.
Start tonight. And I will say just one more thing on that. So just another practical sort of lucid dreaming tip, because people want that as well. And I feel like I should give it. What you can do let's say you're already at that point where you're remembering 3 and you're ready to jumpstart into sort of a lucid dreaming practice. Never skimp on the basics. So continue focusing on writing your dreams all night. So that will never go away. You are now committed to writing your dreams. And you don't have to log everyone in full detail. I do because I find it helps me and I'm excited and I want to use them. But you can, maybe you'll write down just the keywords and that's it. And that's all you ever want to that dream. And maybe you'll want to do the full narrative with full details and emotions and like I do. But you can find a happy medium. The key thing is like do whatever you're going to do that you will stick to. So if you're like agonizing over all the detail, you're never going to keep up with it. So don't do it that way. Find the right sort of mechanism. That works for you to maintain. Maintenance is key. Right. So if you're not going to test whatever writing down method works for you. If you like to do things digitally, do things digitally. If you like to voice record. Do whatever you love to do. Make it a practice that you love, or else it will die, and that will be the end of it.
That's great advice.
Yeah. Key. I love my spreadsheet and I love spreadsheets. So that really works for me. That would never work for like so many people. So you don't have to worry about that either. Final works for you. So on the lucid front, one of the biggest thing that I could say is a technique called wake back to bed. If you've know anything about lucid dreaming, for your audience who's done a little bit of research, wake back to bed is also abbreviated by WBTB. And it just means that you're intercepting the most probable time that you will be having dreams. So that's your REM sleep cycles. That's your sleep cycles like later in the evening. So you can think about, or sorry, later, as the morning comes. So you can think of it either 6 hours after you've gone to sleep, or 2 hours before you're going to get up, however you want to think about that. And it basically just means that you wake up at that time period. You set an alarm. Maybe it's 5. Let's just say 5 o'clock for demonstration purposes. So you set an alarm to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you stay awake for 5-10 minutes, something really small. Maybe you meditate. Maybe you look at a book with a little bit of the candle, and you look at lucid dreaming books. Just get your mind ready for dreaming. Your sleep cycles at this stage are a lot longer, so they're like 30 to 60 minutes depending. Earlier sleep stages are, REM stages are like 5-10 minutes, because you're really focused on your deep restorative sleep. You don't want to mess with that. Let that be. Don't try to do lucid dreaming practice early in the night or at bedtime. Just go to sleep. Yeah. But at this 5 o'clock magic hour, this dream time, the special time where your REM stages are quite long, you're going to intercept that time by waking up, setting your alarm for 5 a.m. depending, and you're going to go back to sleep. And you're going to go back to sleep with awareness. So we talked about hypnagogia before, where you're having all these thoughts. Sometimes you're having these weird blobby images, or yellows or greens. They're like shapes. You're going to just be mindful of those. You're just going to watch them, and you're going to try to stay awake watching your thoughts and those blobs and those images. And you're just going to watch them, and you're going to try. And in your mind, you're going to do mantras. You're going to think about, I'm about to dream, or I'm the next time I'm dreaming. I'll know that I'm dreaming. You're going to be thinking about dreaming, and you're going to be doing a mantra, and you're going to be watching all these visions go by, and you're going to be having all these thoughts, and try to carry that awareness as long as you can, right? And so you're more so once you get really good at this, you can actually go directly from that awaking hypnagogic transitional state right into REM and right into a dream, and you're lucid right away. You just start.
That's like a little hack. You just hack your sleep.
You just kind of like ride it. There's a woman who, her name is Jennifer Dumper. She wrote a book called Liminal Dreaming, which is about this dream space. She calls it surfing. You're basically surfing into a dream. And so it's hard to do, especially when you're starting out. So this is what is known as a wake initiated lucid dream, which means that you are awake when you initiate your lucid dream directly. Okay. The acronym there is WILD, which is really quite a crazy experience, to go directly from like waking to this transitional to right into a dream. And it's really surprising and fun.
That sounds so fun. It just sounds fun. Like,
so you can do that. So you can do that tonight. Yeah, it's just exploring the mind. So you can do that tonight. It's even if you don't manage to transition from awake to a dream, that's okay. That's advanced. But still doing that sort of interception and riding it in to going to sleep, you're still more likely to infiltrate your dream space. You might have what is the other way to initiate a lucid dream is a dream initiated lucid dream. It just means that something triggers you while you're already dreaming.
Gotcha.
So what we were talking about before with dream science, if there's a dinosaur and you're like, oh, I'm in a dream, that's called a dream initiated dialed. So there's dialed and wild. There's only two. And either direct or within the dream space. And so even if you're intercepting and don't go directly into a dream, which is still very hard to do, you can still, because you're thinking about it, you're thinking about dreaming, you're more likely to sort of ask that question, in a dream that you're already on. So if you repeat while you're in this like 5 o'clock wake up time, like I like to do, repeat, is this a dream? Is this a dream? Is this a dream? Is this a dream? Until I fall asleep. And then sometime potentially during that next sleep cycle or the next 2, if I'm sleeping longer, I'll have asked myself that question just because I was thinking about it right before I got it. Is this a dream? Oh, it is a dream. I was just thinking about something. Is this a dream? And then there you go. So that's the wake back to bed method of like just getting up at 5 a.m. to intercept your dream time is from a research perspective, sort of the thing you can do the most that will increase your likelihood of A, dream recall, and B, having more lucid dreams, just because you're aware already at that time, bringing that into the dream state. So that's I would recommend for those who are already at their remembering of 3. Like if you're not remembering any, nothing's going to happen really if you're intercepting your sleep cycle or that wake back. But those are the things. focus on recall, wake back to bed 5 a.m. or 2 hours before you wake up, and plus time, and you're good.
Cool.
Wow.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm like ready to go.
You got all the
I wanna, like,
tools.
I literally want to start tonight. I'm like
Start
excited.
tonight. Yeah.
Um,
Please do.
Yeah. And if any of our listeners try this out, like whenever you guys are listening to it, please let us know your experiences.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we'll leave like a little we'll put like a question box up if you guys have
Yeah.
tried it, and maybe you guys can tell us your experiences, because that'd be so
Yeah.
cool.
Super cool. And there's a lot of other advanced techniques that you don't need to like get into now, especially like that's the primary thing of get great sleep, remember your dreams and write them down, and practice wake back to bed plus
Cool.
time equals
Awesome.
lucidity more consistently. And then you can start to like have goals like I want to fly to the
Right.
moon, or I want to have a healing experience, I want to embrace my shadow, I want to talk to my
That's
nightmares,
cool.
whatever. You can
Right,
start
right. And you just
create
like
goals.
take it.
Yeah, you can go
So
wherever you
cool.
want. Yeah.
Wow.
Jess, is there anything else you want to touch on, or do you want to get into the deep dive?
Yeah. We'll do
Shallow dive.
our last 3 questions. I think that just about sums it up. I mean, I know that there's
Cool.
so much territory that we could be exploding
You
into.
are so knowledgeable.
It's
It
wild.
is so cool.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So
Like, wow. An expert in your field, gotta say.
So we have, 3 questions that we ask every guest. We've switched them up this season. This will be the second episode of season 4. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and kick off these 3 questions.
I'm nervous. Should I be nervous?
No, they're actually really easy.
Listen, last season.
Last season it was called our deep dive. These are a little less deep.
Okay.
But just
and
more
they
fun.
can be as short or as long as you want.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll ask the first one. The first one is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Wow.
Yeah, these are gonna be like dream related, but
no, okay. The best piece of advice I've ever gotten. I don't know if it's the. I have one that for some reason that I have always remembered, which is a little. I'm kind of riffing off the question, so I don't know if it's quote the best, but it has something that I that someone told me many years ago. I don't even know, at least 15 years ago at this point, that for some reason I've always remembered, and it has to do with writing and the way that you relate to the other people. And so this piece of advice, it was from a colleague, a boss at the time, at my first job, and she was a lovely woman. Her name was Natasha, and she told me to always write in the positive. And what that means is like avoid any sort of no, nots, nor, now, like anything that just like was writing in such a way that you would tell stories that had like no's in them. Like it was just no, negative, not, nor, not, can't, won't, whatever. And when you're writing, you're not thinking about this kind of thing. But when I started to put this into practice, my writing just went off the charts of being able to tell stories in really compelling ways and really bring sort of this like way of relating to the world that just was sans like not negativity, because it wasn't about negativity. It was just like the no words. But it changed the shape of my writing and the way that I tell stories in such a profound way. And when you're doing this, it's actually really quite hard. And when you get really great at it, your writing sings the result. So not quite, I don't know if it's the best sort of life advice, but it's definitely something that I have taken into sort of business and my own success in the way that I tell stories. And I think it's a really, I don't know why it's like literally stuck with me for the last 15 years. I do it to this day when I'm writing emails, when I'm corresponding, when I'm communicating. It's hard to do when talking because then you find out like you're not trying to sort of like bury the truth, but you're just trying to write better and relate to people in a way that feels really strong.
Cool.
It's really cool. It's a fun. It's all. When I'm thinking about it, it's like it's like a fun puzzle. I'm much better at it when I was then, but it was like a puzzle to be like, oh, if I say I can't make the meeting,
avoid the word?
I say I can't make the meeting. Like I just want to say I can't make the meeting. And the difference is I have a prior obligation, and it just sounds better and it feels better. It makes people feel better. And you're like, wow, I have a prior obligation and I can't make the meeting. Actually feels different to people. And
that's great advice.
Yeah, it's language hacking, and I'm really a big fan of that.
Love that.
That's
Love
it.
that so much.
Totally random.
No, that's great. That's such good advice because writing and communicating is so important. And I think people underestimate words and like the sequence of them and the order of them and how important that is to how someone perceives the message. So I
Exactly.
love that.
Words really do matter to people. They have a power that people tend to, you get all kinds of conflict as a result of like, I meant this, but not that. And so I really take a
Yep.
pride in my ability to sort of hack language and use words at their fullest power when I'm using them and use them in a restrained way and be really strong about that. And I'm still getting better, obviously, as a writer and someone who communicates constantly, especially in the sort of communicating crazy things in the dream space. So as much as a language sort of warrior, a language warrior, I encourage most people to do that because you will go further in life when you are being mindful of the power of words.
Absolutely. Okay.
Love that.
So the next question
Oh my God,
is.
this is the sort of like
I
theme
know.
here. I am nervous.
No, they're really easy. I promise. I think that's easy. It came to you naturally. Okay, so the next question is: if you could have your dream job, what would it be?
Oh, it's just so funny that you said that. My dream, I have two dream jobs. One, most obvious, is like just getting paid to dream, and that's what I do. I mean, like, oh yeah, you want some story? I'll dream that up for you, and I'll go sell it to Hollywood. Great, that is like my real.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll go dream for you, and But I do
a professional dreamer.
A professional dreamer. I mean, people do that, but they teach it. I just want to dream. And then people, they come to me for the dreams that I have for them, which is so silly. These are silly dream jobs. This is a silly dream job as well. I'm obsessed with architecture and like beautiful home design. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I post these immaculate bedrooms because I'm obsessed with architecture and space and design. You can see my apartment sort of starts to look at that kind of thing. So one of my dream jobs had always been sort of an architect, but like one that focuses on water and pools and like pulling that together. And I would love to just like stop everything and draw beautiful homes with these just gorgeous pools. That's such a weird response to this question, but that's
cool.
I mean,
it's specific, but it's good.
Okay, number 3.
I thought someone was behind me.
No one's behind you. Oh, maybe someone is.
I kept no, I had my door open. That's why. Yeah, I know. Is this real?
Wait,
no, I was like, I wasn't sure. I thought I heard my door open. It was probably something that one of you guys did, though. Liv, you can ask the third question because I don't have it written down. So go for it, brother.
The third and final question is: what would your autobiography be called and why?
I feel like this is going to be a good one.
Yeah. Why do you put the pressure on her now?
I know.
My autobiography. So the book I write about myself would be. I feel like whatever I say, it's going to sound super like egocentric, which is like
it's an autobiography. I mean, it is about you. It is.
Which is like
that's okay. We're giving you a pass.
Oh no, I was gonna say Visions of the Mind, a deep exploration and creativity by Alison McCarthy or something like that. That's ridiculous.
I love that.
Something like that.
That's great. I love
something
that.
creativity and making and all of that. That's what I would something.
Incredible. Awesome. Allison, thank you so much for joining us. This has been wow.
Thank you.
It's been mind-blowing, eye-opening, healing, validating. This has been great. Thank you so much.
Oh, it was my absolute pleasure. I wish you the best dreams and the best practices tonight, and know that every dream that you have, nightmare or otherwise, there's a lesson in healing and self-worth in there. So, I wish you both and all of your audiences the best sleeping life and dreaming life imaginable.
Thank you so much. If people want to follow your journey and learn more about dreams, where can they find you at?
So you can find me on Instagram at The Sleeping Third, Twitter at Just Sleeping Third, the character counts. And then my website is thesleepingthird.com. I'm also, if you watch Netflix or have Netflix, I have a short cameo in The Mind Explained, which is produced by
Which is where
Vox
I found
Media.
you.
Yeah. So it's just a smart little cameo on there if you're interested to see more. But that's all listed on my website, thesleepingthird.com.
Amazing.
Cool. Thank you so much,
Awesome.
guys. We hope you love this episode. Have incredible dreams. Start tonight. We're going to start tonight. We're excited.
If you guys
And
like this
make sure-
episode, please tag Allison, tag us. Let us know how much you loved it. You guys were so amazing last week with showing us the love, and we so appreciate it. So thank you guys, and
have
we'll
a
see you
great,
next
peaceful
week.
sleeping week.
Peaceful sleeping week, everyone. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.